PostgreSQL port number is required in a bunch of places on a Qlik Sense server. We need it to create data connections, to run commands to backup PostgreSQL. We need it in Qlik Sense server recovery process. The good news is that there's really just 3 very common ports that are used by PostgreSQL. The default port in a Qlik Sense server setup is port 4432. Default port for PostgreSQL in general is 5432. The other common port that's used by PostgreSQL is 5433. But of course, a PostgreSQL server may have been configured to run on some custom port for security purposes. In this video, I'll show you 3 places where you can go to find exactly the port number that is used by your PostgreSQL server. Let's see what they are. So the first and arguably most reliable place to find the port number is the postmaster.pid file. This file has some basic information about your PostgreSQL server, one of which is the port number used by PostgreSQL. If you're using standalone installation of PostgreSQL, the default path to the postmaster file is program files, PostgreSQL, then there's this version number folder. I'm using version 16 of PostgreSQL, which is why I have this folder named 16 in here. You may have it named 14 or 15 or some other number. Now, inside the version number folder, there is this data folder. That's where the postmaster file lives. If you're using a bundled installation of PostgreSQL for your Qlik Sense server, the postmaster file is located in the ProgramData, Qlik Sense repository, PostgreSQL, and in this version number folder. Here it is. Now I'll jump back to my server that's using the standalone PostgreSQL server. If you open up this file, it has 8 lines of data in it. This 4th line right here is the port number that your PostgreSQL server is currently listening on. The 4th line in this file will always be the port number. I like this option for finding the port number the most because it doesn't require any special software, just the notepad is enough, and it doesn't require logging into PostgreSQL. It's very easy and very straightforward. Now, the second place where you can find the port number is this PostgreSQL configuration file. If you open up this file, close up to the top here, you'll see this port setting. That's the port number that your PostgreSQL is configured to use. This file is the source for PostgreSQL server configurations. If it says that PostgreSQL is configured to use this port, it will almost certainly use this port. Now, the reason I didn't make this the first option is because if you bring up this configuration file in a bundled installation, you'll see that the port setting is commented out, meaning it's set elsewhere. It could be either the default port that PostgreSQL is configured to use, which is port 5432, or Qlik Sense sets it to be something else. If I open up the postmaster file, you'll see that my PostgreSQL server is running on port 4432, which is not default, which means that Qlik Sense set it to port 4432 somewhere. The main point here is that the postgresql.conf file is the file that is used to configure PostgreSQL server. If you see the port setting is set in this file, it's almost certain that PostgreSQL is using that port number. On my dev server here, the port is set to 4432, and the postmaster file confirms that PostgreSQL is in fact using that port number. And secondly, postmaster file will for sure tell you which port number your PostgreSQL server is listening on, even if the port setting is commented out in the configuration file, like we saw on the bundled PostgreSQL server. Lastly, let's take a look at pgAdmin. This is an app used to browse and manage PostgreSQL. If you have it installed and configured, you can use it to browse your server's settings and find, among other things, the port number that your PostgreSQL is using. The first place where you can find the port number in pgAdmin is in server's properties. If you right-click your server and select properties option, then go to the connection tab, you'll see the port number on which pgAdmin was configured to connect to your PostgreSQL server, which implies that PostgreSQL is listening on that port. Otherwise, pgAdmin wouldn't be able to connect to PostgreSQL. The second place in pgAdmin where you can find the port number is in the pg settings table. If you select a database, any database, and then click on the query tool icon and run this query, you'll see the port number that your PostgreSQL is configured to listen on. Now, pgAdmin requires installation and configuration and knowing the port number in the first place to even be able to connect to your PostgreSQL server, which is why I left it for the end. But if you do have pgAdmin configured and you can log on to it, this pg settings table is the perfect place to find and browse through all of your PostgreSQL server settings, not just the port number. So there you have it, the three places where you can find a port number that your PostgreSQL server is using. That's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow with more Qlik Sense admin tips and insights.